So we're always talking about our phone addictions, right? Um, and I feel like there's sort of two ways to look at this. And like what's the point of looking at this, right? I think the point is it makes people feel bad when they realize they've just been scrolling on their phone for too
Hmm. Hmm.
long, right?
Hmm.
So I think there's a lot of talk about like how to use less and even like ways to set that on your phone and
Hmm. Hmm.
I,
Yeah. I mean, I've tried all of those.
yeah, yeah. But you wrote a piece of talking about another way to kind of come at it, which
Hmm.
let's talk about that.
Yeah. I think most of the content you see about, well, I guess the first thing is like just sort of admitting that we all are addicted to our phones and they were designed to addict us and we are addicted. And I mean, I can't remember talking to somebody in recent years that didn't complain about, at least some mild addiction to their phone. Every client that I've seen and most everybody in my life. So I think it's like that's the first level is just acceptance of like, okay, we're all struggling with addiction. Addiction is a real thing. It's a difficult thing to break. And then it's the question of, how best to go about that. I mean, maybe not breaking the addiction, but maybe just like lessening your phone time. And I think, all the content that you see is really about how can you impose limits on yourself? How can you lessen the phone time? And so what I typically try to do with clients is like focus less on using the sort of the cutting down of the problem, which typically uses shame as a tool. Like this behavior is somehow bad and I need to cut it down. That sets up a bit of an internal battle. As opposed to doing that, to actually just, don't focus on the problem really at all, but just actually shift your energy towards building out your IRL life, right? So focusing on what are the activities that in my life that take me away from my phone. Um, could be really anything like a social activity or a physical exercise, whatever it is, like anything that gets you away from your phone, like actually identifying what those things are in your life, solidifying them, and then actually adding more of those non-phone activities to your life. So you're actually focusing on growing something as opposed to cutting something down. And that sets up less of a internal battle, and allows for just like more energy. Like when you use shame as a weapon, it's really cutting down on your energy. Shame is really like an energy sucker, and it kind of makes all your screen time then somewhat unpleasant. But um, if you shift your energy really just to focus, like even as a resolution, as an intention, like I want to just build out my non-phone IRL life and actually, create more of that in my life as opposed to creating less of something else. I have found that that can just be a more effective way to go at it.
Right. I mean, that's actually sort of positive psychology in a nutshell. It's
Mhm.
looking at like not staring at the problem, but looking at, just it's like shifting your focus to something that feels good and fulfilling, right? There was actually an article recently about there's really a trend of people getting back into more group spaces, whether it's like a yoga studio or like a cafe that they like to work from, post pandemic, right? Where we
Mhm.
were the opposite direction. But I love this whole idea of just really just like filling out your life more, like being in real life as
Mhm.
opposed to, well, we talk a lot about it, like spending too much time in our minds, which is not actually,
Mhm.
but it's like we're in our minds and then we're in our phone, mind and phone.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
putting both those down and just like being in the world or being with friends, like, I don't know, taking an art class, like whatever the thing is.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. What's effective for me is actually like having things scheduled out. Like if I have my yoga class that I'm going to like every Monday and Wednesday, so that it's just there on the calendar and I know it's gonna, or I swim laps and I know that I can't have my phone in the pool and I have that on my calendar as well. And that, yeah, that's just built in to my schedule. And then I think, yeah, just focusing on what else, like what other social activities, groups, organizations can I join that have a set time where they meet, where I know I'm going to be in a room with a group of people where it's not, I can't do this. It's like, as opposed to just saying, I need to stop doing this while you're by yourself, right? That's just not effective in terms of breaking addiction. That kind of willpower has shown to be not that effective. And using shame as a tool just it doesn't seem to have great long-standing effects. So yeah, I do think it's a bit of a shift of focus. It's not like you can just avoid the thoughts of like cutting down on your screen time. Like there's still gonna be that side of yourself too. But maybe like it'll just ease the process a little bit. It'll give you something to actually be excited about as opposed to something to, be focusing on cutting down like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I recently did make a commitment I found a yoga studio near me that I really liked. And
Mhm.
so I made a commitment to going there more often. And there's a lovely girl at the front desk, young woman. Her name is Megan, actually. And she's so lovely. And it actually is starting to feel like it's like another place. It's another homey place for me. It's like
Mhm.
I'm just noticing how much is filled out my life, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's easy with phone addiction to get into that. It's kind of scary to walk into those spaces like for the first time. And when you get more and more into the phone cycle of addiction, that anxiety can seem more daunting of like going to something new, being around people again. And so there is like I think there is a certain momentum that you start to build and you start to build that muscle of like working through that anxiety, but you do often have to kind of like fake it till you make it for a while, that if you really are in a cycle of real addiction with your phone where you're having trouble even leaving the house or getting away from your phone. Yeah, I think it can be tough to work with that anxiety at first, and it does seem to get easier as you start to build more of those activities into your life.
yeah,
Mm,
I think so too. I mean, baby steps, right? I mean,
mm,
again, like trying to take a step that you feel like would be too challenging for you is just adding negativity.
yeah.
So really the point is to ease away from something that feels negative or shameful or you're feeling bad about it and easing into things that make you feel a little
Hmm.
bit more, heart-centered and opened and in life.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And not every activity is going to work for you. Um, so you're going to have to kind of go into experimentation mode and accept, when something doesn't go that well, it's not confirmation that you should just go back to, being isolated on your phone, but it just is confirmation that that particular thing is not right for you.
Yeah, I do.
Mm.
I do remember in the pandemic, there was about a year where I was doing a lot of cooking for myself, and there was something about because suddenly I was on the computer on Zoom like all day, and there was something about just like getting away from that and going in the
Yeah.
kitchen, just like chopping vegetables. And
Hmm. Hmm.
it felt so therapeutic to me. It didn't last. I am no longer cooking. And but it was really good at the time, it felt very healing to get
Yeah.
away, like getting away from technology in general. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. Any
Yeah.
last any last thoughts about encouraging people to do that? I mean, I guess I would just say like the first step is always awareness. Like just notice, oh,
Hmm.
it's, or is this not making you feel good? And just kind of sit with that. Oh, this isn't making me feel great.
Hmm. Hmm.
how how else might I direct my attention or
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else.
right?